the best. You can be the King Kong banging on your chest.
You could beat the world, you could beat the war. You can talk to God, go banging on his door.
You can throw your hands up, you can beat the clock. You can move a mountain, you can break rocks.
You could be a master, don't wait for luck. Dedicate yourself and you gon' find yourself
Standing in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
And the world's gonna know your name.
Yeah.
Cause you burn with the burst flame.
Yeah.
And the world's gonna know your name.
Yeah.
And you'll be on the walls of the Hall of Fame. You can go the distance, you can run the mile. You can walk straight through hell with a smile.
You could be the hero, you could get the gold. Breaking all the records they thought never could be broke.
Yeah, do it for your people, do it for your pride. Are you ever gonna know if you never even try?
Do it for your country, do it for your name. Cause there's gonna be a day when you're
Standing in the Hall of Fame.
yeah.
And the world's gonna know your name. Cause you burn with the burst flame. And the world's gonna know your name. And you'll be on the walls of the Hall of Fame. Be a champion. Be a champion. Be a champion. Be a champion. On the walls of the Hall of Fame. Be students, be teachers, be politicians, be preachers. Yeah. Be believers, be leaders, be astronauts, be champions, be truth seekers. Be students, be teachers, be politicians, be preachers, yeah. Be believers, be leaders, be astronauts, be champions. Standing in the Hall of Fame. And the world's gonna know your name. Cause you burn with the burst flame. And the world's gonna know your name. And you'll be on the walls of the Hall of Fame. Be the greatest, you can be the best. You can be the King Kong hanging on your chest.
You can be a hero, you can beat the world. You can talk to God, go banging on his door.
You can throw your hands up, you can beat the clock. You can move a mountain, you can break rocks.
You could be a master.
Cause you're a sky, cause you're a sky full of stars. I'm gonna give you my heart. Cause you're a sky, cause you're a sky full of stars. Cause you light up the park. I don't care, go on and tear me apart. I don't care if you do. Cause in the sky full of stars, I think I saw you. Cause you're a sky full of stars. I wanna die in your arms. Cause you get lighter the more it gets dark. I'm gonna give you my heart. I don't care, go on and tear me apart.
go. Yeah. For those of you that want to know what we're all about, it's like this, y'all. This is 10% luck, 20% skill, 15% concentrated power of will, 5% pleasure, 50% pain, and 100% reason to remember the name. He doesn't need his name up in lights, he just wants to be heard, whether it's the beat of the mic. He feels so unlike everybody else, alone, in spite of the fact that some people still think that they know. But no, he knows the code. It's not about the salary, it's all about reality and making some noise, making a story, making sure his click stays up. That means when he puts it down, Tox picking it up. Let's go.
Who the hell is he anyway? He never really talks much, never concerned with status, but still leaving him starstruck. Humble through opportunities given despite the fact that many misjudge him because he makes a living from writing raps. Put it together himself, got a picture connects, never asking for someone's help or to get some respect. He's only focused on what he wrote, his will is beyond reach, and now it all unfolds, the skill of an artist.
This is 20% skill, 80% beer, be 100% clear, cause Ryu was ill. Who would've thought he'd be the one that set the West in flames? And I heard him wreck it with the crystal method, name of the game. Came back, dropped Megadeth, took him to church. I like Bleach, man. Ryu had the stupidest verse, this dude is the truth. Now everybody giving them guest spots and stocks through the roof. I heard he f***ing with that stock.
This is 10% luck, 20% skill, 15% concentrated power of will, 5% pleasure, 50% pain, and 100% reason to remember the name.
They call him Ryu, he's sick and he's spitting fire. And Mike got him out the dryer, he's hot. Found him in Fort Minor with top, but a f***ing nihilist porcupine. He's a the type women wanna be within rappers. Hope he gets 8 years in the making, patiently waiting to blow. Now the record with your notice taking over the globe. He's got a partner in crime, his is equally dope. You won't believe the kind of that comes out of this kid's throat.
Top. He's not your everyday on the block. He knows how to work with what he's got, making his way to the top. He often gets a comment on his name. People keep asking him, was it given that birth or does it stand for an acronym? No, he's living proof. Let him rock in the booth. He'll get you buzzing quicker than a shot of vodka with juice. Him and his crew are known around as one of the best, dedicated to what they do and give 100%.
Forget Mike, nobody really knows how or why he works so hard. It seems like he's never got time, because he writes every note and he writes every line. And I've seen him at work when that light goes on in his mind. It's like a design is written in his head every time before he even touches a key or speaks in a rhyme. And those other fellas he runs with, the kids that he signed, ridiculous, without even trying. How do they do it? This is 10% luck, 20% skill, 15% concentrated power of will, 5% pleasure, 50% pain, and 100% reason to remember the name. This is 10% luck, 20% skill, 15% concentrated power of will. no river wide enough, baby.
If you need me, call me. No matter where you are, no matter how far.
Don't worry, baby.
Just call my name. I'll be there in a hurry. You don't have to worry. 'Cause baby, there ain't no mountain high enough. Ain't no valley low enough. Ain't no river wide enough to keep me from getting to you, baby.
Remember the day I set you free? I told you you could always count on me, darling. From that day on, I made a vow I'll be there when you want me, some way, somehow. Oh, baby,
There ain't no mountain high enough. Ain't no valley low enough. Ain't no river wide enough
to keep me from getting to you, baby. Oh, no, darling.
no wind, no rain, or winter's cold can stop me, baby.
No, no, baby.
'Cause you are
If
my
you're ever in
love.
trouble, I'll be there on the double. Just send for me, oh, baby.
My love is alive, way down in my heart, although we are miles apart.
If you ever need a helping hand, I'll be there on the double, just as fast as I can. Don't you know that there ain't no mountain high enough? Ain't no valley low enough? Ain't no river wide enough?
Keep me from getting to you, babe. Don't you know that there
Ain't no mountain high enough. Ain't no valley low enough. Ain't no river wide enough.
Hey, hey, hey. Good to see you. Come on in, let's go. Yeah! Let's go! Alright, okay. Alright, okay. Alright, okay. Return to the Mac. Get up what it is, what it does, what it is, what it isn't. Looking for a better way to get up out of bed instead of getting on the internet and checking a new hit. Me get up. First shot, hip strut walking. A little bit of humble, a little bit of cautious. Somewhere between like Rocky and Cosby's for the game. Nope, nope, y'all can't copy yet. Bad moonwalking, and this here is our party. My posse's been on Broadway, and we did it all way. Chrome music. I shed my skin and put my bones into everything I record to it. And yeah, I'm on. Let that stage light go and shine on down. Got that Bob Barker suit game and Plinko in my style. Money, stay on my craft and stick around for those pounds. But I do that to pass the torch and put on for my town. Trust me, on my INDEPENDENT shit hustling. Chasing dreams since I was 14 with the 4-track bustin'. Halfway across that city with the back question. Labels out here, now they can't tell me nothing. We give that to the people, spread it across the country. Labels out here, now they can't tell me nothing. We give it to the people, spread it across the country.
Here we go back, this is the moment, tonight is the night. We'll fight till it's over, so we put our hands up like the ceiling can't hold us. Like the ceiling can't hold us. Here we go back, this is the moment, tonight is the night. We'll fight till it's over, so we put our hands up like the ceiling can't hold us. Like the ceiling can't hold us.
Nah, can I kick it? Thank you, yeah, I'm so damn grateful. I grew up really wanna go fronts, but that's what you get when Wu-Tang raised you. Y'all can't stop me, go hard like I got an 808 in my heartbeat. And I'm eating at the beat like it gave a little speed to a great white shark on shark week. Raw, time to go off, gone, deuces goodbye. I got a world to see, and my girl, she wanna see Rome. Caesar make you a believer, nah, I never ever did it for a throne. That validation comes from giving it back to the people. Now, sing this song and it goes like, raise those hands, this is our party. We came here to live life like nobody was watching. I got my city right behind me. If I fall, they got me. Learn from that failure, gain humility, and then we keep marching.
Can we go back? This is the moment. Tonight is the night. We'll fight till it's over. So we put our hands up like the ceiling can't hold us. Like the ceiling can't hold us. Go back. This is the moment.
We're going to have a video before for each person, and then we'll have somebody come up and sit with Paul and I and get to talk. So to start things off, do you want to?
Yeah, just before we start, I'd like to ask for everybody's undivided attention and give each inductee the amount of respect that they're due. This is their 15 minutes of fame. Obviously, eat your dinner as we go along, because we don't want to keep you here too long. But we would ask you to really stay until the end, and even if you're the people you're honoring here tonight, go first or second. If you can hang in with us, you won't regret it. And as you eat, keep the speaking down to a minute.
Yeah. And,
Right.
and it is true, if you can hang out, that's great. You know, the first speaker left already. That was kind of embarrassing. Anniversary.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that
We know they're up in a room.
Yeah. So,
Anyways, like Mark said, you're going to see a little introduction on each inductee, and then either the person here representing them tonight or the inductee themselves will come up. So,
yep. So our first inductee is John Hanlon, Winchester High School, class of 1935.
It is a delight and honor to have the privilege to introduce for induction into the Hall of Fame from the class of 1935, John Hanlon, known as Steamer. Outstanding athletic achievement at Winchester High School is the criteria for membership, but for the record, John was an outstanding all-round student at Winchester High School. Here's a quote from his yearbook. "Some combination we have here, with the looks of Apollo, unequaled athletic ability, vice president of the class of 1935, yearbook business manager, and a member of the traffic squad." I know that there are some here tonight's audience who remember the traffic squad. John played varsity football, basketball, and baseball. He was a member of the 1933 Middlesex League Championship football team. That team pulled off the major upset of the season, defeating highly favored Belmont 12-6. John in that game was cited for his blocking. The Winchester Star described it as a very high class. And in his senior year, John was elected co-captain, incidentally the first time Winchester High School had football co-captains. His coach, Wendell Mansfield, said, "Steamer is as good a blocking back and defensive halfback as any in the Middlesex League." In the game against Lexington, Steamer literally took out 3 Lexington players in one fell swoop as Frankie Provenzano ran for a touchdown. Frank, class of 36, is a member of the Hall of Fame, as was another teammate, Andy Lentini, class of 34. This team tied for the Middlesex League championship, and once again, John was named a Middlesex League All-Star. John entered the University of New Hampshire in 1936. Here, too, he had an outstanding athletic career. He continued to play football and added hockey and lacrosse. Just as he did at Winchester High School, John was more than an athlete. He was nominated by UNH students for the National Collegiate Who's Who. John majored in English and was a member of the ROTC. In his high school yearbook summary, John said he wanted to coach football at the University of Notre Dame. Well, he didn't achieve that, but listen to what he did achieve. After graduation from UNH, John enlisted in the U.S. Infantry and transferred to the Parachute Corps. Once his training was complete, he was assigned to the 101st Airborne Division. John jumped into Normandy hours before the D-Day invasion. A few months later, John jumped into Nazi-occupied Holland. Next, John, the commanding officer of his battalion, was assigned to Bastogne, which is in Belgium, and the site of the Battle of the Bulge. On Christmas Day, 1944, his men, outnumbered, short of ammunition and food, turned back the German attack. The final score, Germany, 6 tanks destroyed, 57 dead, 35 captured. United States, 3 men slightly wounded. Lieutenant Colonel John Hanlon returned to Winchester, one of several local heroes of World War II. He was awarded the Bronze Star, the Purple Heart, the Silver Star, Presidential Citation, and several battlefield ribbons. He moved to Providence, Rhode Island, where he and his wife, Joan, raised their children, Martha and John. He had wanted to be a writer, and for the next 33 years, he was an acclaimed sports writer and columnist for the Providence Journal-Bulletin. In 1991, he was inducted into the Rhode Island Journalism Hall of Fame. John died of cancer in 1996. The Winchester Star described John's blocking ability as very high class. I'm sure you will join with me in saying John's life was very high class. Thank you.
What an excellent story. John graduated 81 years ago from Winchester High School. I think it's amazing that we're here honoring someone that long ago that we still hold in high esteem for what they did at Winchester High School. Here tonight with us, which we're really honored, is Martha Hanlon Brooks, who is John's daughter. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
I think we're going to grab one of these for you. We're on red or yellow?
He can figure it out. That's why it has red and yellow.
Okay.
You can see from way over there.
That's great.
Paul's new to this.
No.
Martha, everyone heard the story, some of the story of your father's life, which was amazing. And Martha and I got to speak a few weeks back when I knew she was coming up, and we got to talk a little about her father and what he did and what he did in the high school. Did he talk much? Do you remember much? It was a long time ago, I know, but did he talk much about his high school days or his sports days?
Well, like so many men of his generation, he didn't talk much at all about anything, really. But going through his papers afterwards, we learned a lot about his story. And honestly, when he did talk, he talked about his companions, not himself. So we always heard about Provenzano,
yeah.
and we heard about Gaffney, and we heard mostly about the debt that he owed to Coach Mansfield.
Really? Excellent. And your dad has a really interesting story. He played football. You heard Jan Dolan talk about what he did in football, and definitely was a star of the day. And he did play alongside some of the folks that we knew really well, Mr. P. Provenzano. Mr. P was our athletic trainer for decades, and we got to be with him, Paul and I, in the early 80s, so that was awesome. Your dad also, though, had an interesting story on what happened after high school and what happened with him when his career plans after that.
Well, my dad graduated from high school with no particular plan in mind and quickly found himself mowing lawns for a living. And one day, sometime late in August, he was mowing a lawn and Coach Mansfield happened by and said, "Hanlon, what are you doing?" My father said, "I don't know, I'm mowing a lawn." And Coach Mansfield said, "Not anymore, you're not. You are going today up to the University of New Hampshire, and you're going to enroll in the university." And that started the change in his life that was just unbelievable. And he owes it all to Coach Mansfield.
Yeah, and that was amazing. And I wanted to back up quickly, too. He was the first co-captain of a varsity sport. So they had never had co-captains for any varsity sports.
Yeah.
And then he and Gaffney? Gaffney were named co-captains in 34, I think it was.
And they went on to co-captain together at UNH
Yeah,
also.
that was amazing.
That's what I was going to ask Martha about the UNH days. He ended up, that must have been a big privilege. I don't know if your dad talked about it at all, but he ended up being able to go on to college and play with his high school buddy and fellow captain, play at UNH.
He loved the time at UNH, and in point of fact, it started a dynasty in our family. I went to the university, my brother went to the university, my husband went to the University of New Hampshire, and several of our friends also. So once again, it was a big part of our lives. And he did talk about playing football, and he loved it. He did say towards the end he was getting a little sore, and he thought perhaps his career might be at an end.
And then he went on to that amazing story. I'm not sure if anybody in the local group saw the article in the paper by Ellen Knight about the World War II hero who had borrowed sheets from a town in Belgium during the Battle of the Bulge. and had protected his men and saved his men, and then a few years later, after the war, went back and returned those sheets back to that Belgian town. That was your dad. That was amazing, because when we first inducted him or nominated him or pushed him through for the Hall of Fame, I didn't make the connection when I was talking to Martha at first for some crazy reason. I didn't make the connection with that story that I had read and thought, wow, this was amazing. And then I'm talking to Martha and I said, wait a minute, that was your father? That was your father. So that was an amazing World War II story.
It's a great story, and it has great legs, and it speaks a little bit to the strength and the dignity of the town of Winchester, too. When he borrowed the sheets, he did say to the townspeople that he would return them, and of course, that was the last thing on his mind as the war went on. But he saw an article in the Boston Globe after the war, and someone had gone to Bastogne and had interviewed the women, and someone did say, I wish that handsome soldier would return my sheets. And my dad...
There's kids in the audience
Yeah.
over there. So
My dad he felt a little badly about that. And so he and his mom and her friend and the women of the churches of Winchester got together, and honestly, without the support of the town and the wonderful church ladies, this wouldn't have happened. But they were able to return way more than 500 sheets. So it was a great event.
And it came up again, recently, and they rekindled that relationship between that town and Winchester. And the other thing I heard too was that was probably 15 years, I think, when he returned the sheets. It was probably close to 15 years where he had been out of high school. And I guess there were articles in the paper saying, Steamer Hanlon needs sheets.
Steamer Hanlon, yes.
So-
and many
and they
people-
rallied.
Yes.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
I just want to know, did he clean the sheets before he returned them?
He did.
I think so. Yeah. We'll say yes.
Yeah, okay, great. Just in case I ever go over to Belgium.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I
It's
think
fun
we'll
out from
be
Winchester.
okay.
I don't know, I can read up. Well, Martha, thank you very much for joining us in
have
honor of your
one
dad.
more thing.
Mark has one more
I
question.
have one more thing, because we got a little time. So, Martha, just tell everybody quickly about your father's history and sports journalist down in Rhode Island.
Well, he went on to have a long, long career as a journalist for the Providence Journal, sports journalist. And it was a great, great experience for him, and it gave him a wonderful life. It allowed him to write about things that he loved all the time, although sometimes I'd see him pacing back and forth hoping for a story with a deadline to meet. But it was a wonderful career, and it obviously began with his sports involvement in Winchester.
Yeah, Martha, when she and I were speaking, she said that, his life was really, truly something that sports impacted and made such a big difference in his life.
Oh, all the way through his life. And as I say, it goes back to his participation in high school sports and the efforts of Coach Mansfield on his behalf. We owe a debt, our entire family owes a debt to him.
Okay. Well, Martha, thank you very much. If you young folks, Coach Mansfield was one of the football coaches at Winchester High School. Once again, thank you for joining us and honoring your father. He's a great addition to our Hall of Fame. We're proud to have him in our hall, and he will forever be remembered for his contributions. And as a token of our appreciation, I'd like to present you with this plaque. Thank you.
Thanks, Martha. Thank you. I think we can get a quick picture
Jeff,
here.
right now.
Paul, come on up.
Quick picture?
Can I get a picture? With the W. Here, hold the plaque.
I don't think there's any film in the camera.
My name is Steve Powers from the Sports Foundation Hall of Fame Committee, and it's my pleasure to introduce for induction Ron McKenzie. Ron McKenzie had a distinguished career on both the hockey rink and the baseball fields at Winchester High School. Ron moved to Winchester in 1950, starting at Winchester High School as a sophomore. Within 1 year, he was playing varsity baseball and hockey, and he was chosen as class president by his junior year classmates in 1951. He was a well-liked leader of his class, known for his integrity, discipline, and friendly nature. Ron was a phenomenal athlete, most known for his hockey career. He was the captain of the Winchester hockey team his senior year, leading his team to a 10-0 season. Ron couldn't get enough hockey. When he wasn't playing for the high school, he was leading the Winchester Blades, where he was also a captain. Ron continued his athletic and academic career at Dartmouth College, where he played freshman hockey and baseball in his first year, and then went on to play 3 years of varsity hockey under the famous coach Ed Jeremiah. In 1954, while playing at West Point, he met Janet Proctor, who he later married. He also scored his first varsity goal that day. Ron went on to have a stellar career playing center and led his team in assists his senior year. He graduated in 1956 and when asked to try out for the Olympics, but was commissioned a second lieutenant, U.S. Artillery, and took officer basic training at Fort Bliss in El Paso, Texas. After returning from the service, Ron and his wife resided in Winchester, where Ron coached freshman hockey for Winchester High School with Harrison Chadwick. They had a wonderfully talented group of players, including Winchester High School Hall of Famers Ed Cutting and George Murphy. He and Janet moved to Burlington, where they raised their 2 children, Jody and Scott. Both of them were great athletes. Ron's career off the ice was rich with charitable work, often weaving hockey into his volunteerism. In 1966, he was elected to the Massachusetts State Senate. Ron started the 1968 Massachusetts Legislative Hockey Team, enlisting state legislators, state house personnel, and former Boston Bruins to play charity games for worthy causes, raising $250,000 over 10 years. Ron served as president of the Massachusetts Kidney Foundation and helped arrange the 1984 game between the 1970 Stanley Cup Bruins versus Michael J. Fox's Hollywood All-Stars, raising $100,000 for the National Kidney Foundation. Ron went on to play for the Boston Moby Dicks, a prestigious international senior group, and playing in tournaments in Massachusetts, senior games for at least 10 years, and their team came in first place every year. Ron's high school and college athletic careers, combined with his military and charitable contributions, are an impressive example of a true icon, greatly deserving of his induction into the 2016 Winchester High School Sports Hall of Fame. We welcome you, Ron.
Congratulations, Ron.
Hey, Ron.
Take that middle seat.
So Ron, I get to start off. So one of the things we noticed when we were hearing the story about your high school career was that you moved to town in a sophomore year, and then you immediately made an impact. So you started playing really well in hockey and baseball, and then you went on to be named class president just a year later. What did you do? What got you so impactful at such a quick time?
Total luck. No.
Luck.
When you move to a new town, particularly like Winchester, you hear kind of a snobby town, you're going to have a problem. And instead, I found such wonderful friends. It was amazing because when I was in Dedham, where I moved from, having lived with my grandparents, I was the starting guard on the basketball team. And when I got over to Winchester, I met hockey fellas to start off with, pretty much, and turned to hockey, and it was then forevermore that I played hockey, both in college and later on. And so I found that also the basketball players were great in my class. We had an incredible class of 52. I think it was in late spring before any athletic team lost even one game.
Wow.
But the big thing was the kids and the gals and the stuff I met were wonderful. And to this day I have seen many. It's a tough one, you say that some of them are deceased, but some in this room, and the friends I made there carried me. And I guess it was the fact, if you're honest with your fellow classmates and you're sincere, that who knows what could happen.
It's awesome. Good story.
And Ron, you alluded to it, but that was, the 50s was a great time in Winchester High School sports history. You're obviously here tonight for your attributes in hockey and baseball, but it seemed like hockey was your big sport, your passion, your love. How have you seen the game change since your time playing to now, besides the obvious, like the equipment and stuff? Have you seen any major changes in the game of hockey?
Yes, they seem to be faster. I was talking earlier with Whip Saltmarsh over here, who was a state rep when I was in the Senate, and of course with Eddie Sanford, who was a great member of the Boston Bruins. I just was sitting with him, and we were talking just about that, what the difference seems to be and why the Bruins today don't seem to have it. And he was talking about the speed of the defenseman getting the puck out of the zone, and that seems to be a much faster game, get rid of the puck quicker, not so much stick handling and doing it yourself.
Is it true when Whip skated he used double blades?
He didn't use them every game.
Not every game, just for the big ones?
Just for a few.
Okay, just wanted to verify that on TV.
There also was talk, too, about you and Whip doing one-on-one in hockey, and we didn't know who would win that. Any idea?
Well, Whip was older than I did, so it wasn't fair.
Whoa!
He also, Whip had a teammate at Boston College named Wimpy Burtonette. His real name was Wellington Parker Burtonette III, but he was known as Wimpy. And he was probably one of the greatest hockey players I ever saw. Got to play hockey with him in the amateur leagues and on the legislative team and on the Snoopy tournaments out on the West Coast. And some of my teammates are over there from that group sitting at that table. And Wimpy was one heck of a player. Also, another Hall of Famer here was Billy LaMarche, and Billy was also great and played with us as well.
And so some of your guys are here. You've played up until a couple years ago?
That's correct.
That's awesome. Where did you play around here? Recently, in the last couple of years?
Well, we would always go down to Winter Pond and try and take on whoever. My son was a great player for Burlington High School. He's in the Hall of Fame there. Awesome. And my grandson, who's over here, was a captain at Winchester High School as well. So it was fun. We'd come back to Winchester at Horn Pond and skate there. And I think way back when I was in high school, we used to go up to Long Pond because it was the first place to freeze. And it was only about a foot deep, so if you fell in, it wasn't too bad either.
Yeah.
Ron, post-Winchester High School, you went to Dartmouth College.
Yes, sir.
So your test scores must have been pretty good, better than mine, I'm sure. But how did Winchester High School academically and athletically prepare you for your experience at Dartmouth?
I was very fortunate. My mother remarried, and she married a wonderful person, and he moved to Winchester, and we went along with him. It's probably one of the luckiest things that ever happened to both my mom and to me and my brother, because Winchester, the teachers there were tough. They had you prepared for a good college. And so when I went to Dartmouth, that was not all that hard to achieve academic okay.
Fantastic.
So hockey, one of the things I saw in the stories and talking to Steve as well was how big an impact hockey had in your life. And you did something great. You carried it into the legislature. You're a politician, which, that's okay. We're okay with politicians.
Today?
But you really, it made an impact throughout your life, and you got to use it and leverage it to do some great things.
Well, thank you. It was, you could skate at the legislative level, probably free at the rinks and so forth, but we did decide to only play games for charity. We also got sent by the United States Air Force out of Hanscom Field to do some work with some German and Canadian teams over in Europe during the bicentennial years, and we brought some goodwill over there. And the same thing with later on, because we used Boston Bruins players on our team to help sell tickets. I get to play with them for 16 years. And I might tell one quick story. My name's Mackenzie, and Johnny Pye Mackenzie was playing for them, and he is a great player and a great person. And I remember I was substituting one night, Eddie, up in northern Maine at some carnival, and Johnny couldn't make it. It was snowing. So I'm up there, I'm skating around, and there was this lady on the side with two young children. They kept saying, "Pie, pie." And of course, I'm skating around and not trying to look too much. Finally, they waved me over, so I went over, and they said, "Pie, your face, your round face, is just so unforgettable. And we just love you. You're our most famous Bruin. And would you sign this picture?" Well, they had an actual picture of Johnny Pye Mackenzie, and he's 5'8", I'm 6'1". So I said, my granddaughter's names are like Susie and whatever. And so would you sign it? So I signed it, Johnny Pie Mackenzie. So today, somewhere up in northern Maine in someone's playroom, there's still some ladies there saying, I was there when Johnny Mackenzie.
That's a great story. One thing that jumped out off your page to me, Ron, was you had a very fortunate life, just like anybody else, ups and downs, but you had a very successful life, but you always seemed to give back to charities and help others out. A lot of young folks watching or in the room tonight or on WinCam, how important is that, do you think, for people to give back to either the community or to a certain cause?
Well, not only is it a great tenet of the Judeo-Christian ethics, but it does make you feel better, and not in a selfish, egotistical way, but when you can help someone else, whether it's raising money, and I know all of you out there have different causes where they ask you to go and raise money. It is a good feeling to do that, because we're here on life, and if we've been lucky enough to have a life like I've had, then I think it's only fair and decent to give back if you can.
That's great. And so you've been at some amazing levels too in the state and the legislature. What does it mean to you, the Sports Hall of Fame from Winchester? Is that really special for you? You could say no, that would be weird. So don't say no. It's not that big a deal.
I've had some great honors and I've had some great thrills in my life, and I have to tell you, this really is one of the absolute. My fiancée, Ann, over here with her family came up from North Carolina. My rest of my living family is with me and other friends, and that's because they know that this means such a great deal to me, and to be among those who were nominated today and have been nominated in the past, many of whom I know, it's a great thrill. And
awesome.
Well, Ron, we're proud to have you, and congratulations on your special induction and being a member of the Hall of Fame class of 2016. Take that. Thank you very much. Nice to meet you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Chip Emery. I'm thrilled to be part of inducting Ben Dolan, into the Winchester Sports Hall of Fame. Ben's wife, Linda, his family and friends are here to give back to Ben in the way that he so naturally gave to others. Sadly, cancer took Ben at the age of 62. There were many prior discussions about nominating Ben, but Ben would somehow catch wind and put a stop to it. Ben was a humble guy, both on and off the field. He was a quiet leader who everyone looked up to. Ben underestimated his effect on younger players. A few years after graduation, I was surprised when my younger brother's friends spoke of him with such admiration. From his early years of Little League and youth hockey through WHS, where he was a three-sport star and captain in football, hockey, and baseball. All Middlesex League in all three sports, all Scholastic in football. Ben grew up in a large family with 6 children, many athletes. Kids went to Ginfield to play ball or behind Dolan's on the frozen Mystic Lakes to play pickup hockey. Heisman Trophy winner Joe Bellino was around. Joe Namath had recently worn his famous white shoes, but end zone dances were not yet invented. Playing on Ben's Little League team, I remember thinking, so who is this kid that does everything? And his proud dad in the stands bellowing, "That's the way to go, Benny boy." If a guy was 200 pounds, he was going to play sports, and if he could move those 200 pounds faster and better than others, he would carry the football, shoot the puck, pitch the baseball. If he was cool under pressure, he would kick the extra point. If he was a leader and well-respected, he would be voted captain. Ben did this not once, not twice, but 3 times in 3 sports. In football, Ben was that rare player who never came off the field. An all-Scholastic defensive player who scored 112 points, only 12 points behind the league leader, who carried the ball 3 times as often. Coach Manny Marshall quipped, the highest scoring defensive lineman in history. In his senior year, Ben scored all the points in our 28-0 win over Melrose. Then Ben turned to hockey. His strong natural skating style, crafted from many wintry days living on the Mystic Lakes. He was a star defenseman with a blistering slap shot. 200 plus pounds and years of lake hockey, no one wanted to get in front of that one. But also I personally watched him skate with abandon and flail himself on Mystic Lake ice to extend a hockey stick to a friend, thrashing to keep his head above water. Then on the baseball field, under Coach Colella, Ben was an all-star first baseman with a batting average near 400, hitting towering home runs into the right field bleachers at Knowlton Stadium. Floating about the diamond is the designated cutoff, backing up second, third, and home plate. He also pitched. Ben's former teammates wrote in, he accepted and respected all the team members regardless of their skill levels. Both on and off the field, he was a quiet leader who everyone looked up to, a wonderful teammate who carried out his assignments perfectly, yet always had the back of the other players. Lastly, a few weeks into summer football practice, Manny brought this wall into our group. The wall was named Ben. Quiet, solid, wide, strong. Ben went on to play football and tight end for the University of Rhode Island. He also excelled at downhill skiing and golf. After college, Ben settled in Claremont, New Hampshire, with his love and wife of 20 plus years, Linda. For years, Ben worked with special need people, mentoring them in everyday life. Ben, you are over the goal line once again, my friend. Tonight, there is a moment left on the clock, time for one more play. Your family and friends are here to execute that play. Because as much as you are a wonderful individual contributor, you are also the consummate teammate. You are now in the Winchester Sports Hall of Fame. Congratulations. Thank you.
So to tell us more about Ben and the type of player he was, we have three of his teammates. We have Tom James, Dennis O'Donnell, and Steve Devaney. Could you come up, guys?
Nice to meet you. You guys can grab the seats.
Thanks again. Thanks for coming. You guys get to sit.
You guys, good, thank you. You guys can grab the seats. We'll stand.
Dennis.
And both those mics should be working, fellas. So
Yeah, so if you guys can share the mic, that would be great. What an amazing athlete. When we first started hearing about Ben, as a committee, a Hall of Fame committee, we just couldn't believe all the things that he had done and all the things that he did. And then we started seeing pictures and films, and it was amazing. So he was an awesome athlete. Can you guys just give us some of your stories and some of your thoughts about Ben?
First off, growing up with Ben before he went to junior high school and playing all the way through high school, I never really got to appreciate how great of an athlete he was until we get older looking back. But every time we played with him, he dominated every sport we ever played. From the first time I met Ben before sports, we were throwing knives at a tree. And someone introduced me to Ben. It was Mark Snelling. And Ben said, "Can I give that a try?" 3 straight, boom, bullseyes. And I said, there's something special about this guy. And ever since then, he was dominant in everything.
I think I'll tell a little bit, because people can relate to this in the room, about Ben. And we talk a lot about his football playing and the point scoring and the kicking, blocking. You didn't want to get blocked out by Ben as a fullback when he got going, because he brought a load. But on the defensive line, Ben was elected to be an All-Scholastic as a defensive tackle. But what he really was an edge rusher. And we just saw in the last Super Bowl round, Von Miller with the Denver Broncos kill the Patriots. No one could block him. Did the same thing to Carolina, and we just saw him on Dancing with the Stars. They're both 6'3". Von's a little bit bigger, but Ben was a big-shouldered guy, thin, fast legs, and he could motor. So many times playing next to him, when we'd go back to the huddle, you'd hear the other players and the other team sniping at each other. He's your guy to block. Keep him, and the quarterback, keep him the hell off of me, because he would be in there fast. Ben's first touchdown was actually from the defensive position. We talk about his point scoring, but he intercepted a lateral. He got in there so fast in the very first game that he scored the first points in our junior year, and then kicked the extra point on it, that he just was so fast and no one could block him out on how he played. And he was so quiet. Woobin hung him in effigy at the Thanksgiving Day game.
We would never do that.
And he
We
just,
would never do that.
I know, we'd never do that. And he just laughed about it. He took everything quietly, as Tommy said. Very humble guy, nothing bothered him. Great teammate, but think of Von Miller. That was Ben Dolan back a couple of decades ago from Winchester High School. In there quick, couldn't be blocked. Ended up with second in points in the league as a rusher, and the fellow that won it only had a couple more, and it was a Jack Rafferty from Wakefield that the Herald then, when they put together their all-scholastic team, said the best running back in the state in the last 25 years. And that's at a time when you had a Mike Esposito up in Wilmington playing that Ben was just right on his heels playing there. So that's what I want to relay is, if you saw Von Miller, you saw Ben Dolan in his year's playing.
Well, what I remember most about Ben was how easy the game came to him. In all honesty, the phrase off-season workouts was not in Ben's vocabulary. He just was a natural at everything that he would do. I had the privilege of playing youth hockey with Ben all the way up and through, and then high school hockey and high school football. And he was never emotional about it. He never got worked up about it. He was just always the best player on the field. And I can remember specifically in hockey, I was a goalie. I couldn't eat the entire day of the game. Literally, I'd get up at 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning, have a piece of toast, and I was done for the rest of the day because I really just didn't think it was inspiring for the team to watch their goalie vomit before the game. Ben would walk into the locker room with a frap from Brigham's, a sub, a bag of potato chips, and cupcakes. And I'd look at him and say, "Really, Ben?" And he'd say, "You want some?" And I'd say, "Well, I do, but I can't." And Ben would eat it on the bus on the way to the game and be the best player on the ice. Absolutely the best player on the ice. And he was just, so it was effortless for Ben to play. And I was thinking, coming here tonight, Ben could have got up in the morning on a Saturday morning, played baseball, played a game of football in the afternoon, and played a game at hockey in the evening, and he would have been the best player. When I received word that Ben passed almost 2 years ago now, it really hit me very hard because Ben was the biggest, baddest, toughest SOB in the town. And I'm thinking of this and I'm saying, my God, if Ben has died, us mere mortals, we don't have a chance. What can we do? So he was a terrific teammate, a wonderful guy, and an effortless athlete.
Fellas, he was obviously one of the rare three-sport athletes excelling in all three of them. Especially today, we don't find that very often, but all league in football, hockey, and baseball. And we could see his accolades on the field and on the ice, and we hear it from you. But what I'd like to know is what made Ben special off the playing fields? Because I can see in your eyes and in your passion for him that he obviously had some leadership qualities that probably made everybody else around him a little bit better.
Chip Emery in the video talked about a day skating in the Mystic Lakes, and one of our buddies fell in, and Ben wouldn't even hesitate. He just skated over, borrowed someone's stick, and pulled this guy out of the ice water, and saved the guy's life. But Ben was always doing that in a very quiet way. Anything he did, he was a great husband to Linda, great mentor to kids up in Claremont, just a good all-around brother to the sisters, and
so he led by example, it sounds.
Lived by example, but a very quiet, humble way throughout that, and everybody just quietly looked up to him too. Just a great friend all the way around like that.
The thing I noticed in a couple of the pictures that was cool is he had a quiet little smile. He looked like, he looked like a big dude anyway, but he's walking around with this quiet little smile, and then I heard how great he was as an athlete, and it was just like that humble, hey, I know I'm having fun, I'm not rubbing it in anybody else's face, but he just knew he could play the game.
But he was with his size at 6'3", he'd have the smile, but he'd also have the smile turning the corner, blocking for somebody, and knew he was just going to flatten the guy and just destroy the guy. So he loved that too.
There's something that Ben was very tremendous at, just the way he was constructed. Huge, wide upper body, thin legs. I think I mentioned that before, but if I can take a minute and tell a story, because I'm released from a promise made many decades ago by one of the gentlemen that sadly passed away recently, Coach Manny Marshall. Manny, when Ben was a sophomore, said, I've got something special here. I got to get him training. And we all probably have seen the Walter Payton training thing of running up hills. Well, what Coach Marshall did, the little genius that he was, is he went to some of the girls in our class. One of them's here tonight. And he said to them, we have this thing called Battle of the Bands on Saturday nights. And I want you guys to keep him on the dance floor all night and get those legs in such great shape. And they did that. And he just, no one could, he was fast for his size. And that's what they did. And then consequently, the ladies' athletic teams of soccer, field hockey, gymnastics, and everything went up a rung because they got collateral benefit from what happened to him on there. But Ben was very humble. He could never say no. So if anybody went up and said, I got you next on the dance floor, he would never leave the dance floor all night. So that's my little story. Manny told me never to tell anybody that story until I could be released from it. Thank you,
That's a great
Coach.
one. Well, fellas, we really appreciate you coming up here and sharing your special memories with Ben, and appreciate the contributions you folks made to the sports programs here at Winchester High School. At this time, we'd like to call Ben's wife, Linda, up to accept the plaque on his behalf. Morning, guys. Take a picture.
My name is Chris Scanlon, and in 1981, I was the boys tennis coach here at Winchester High School. And in 1981, John McEnroe was the best tennis player in the world. John was young, athletic, and an amazing shot maker. He was the idol of most boys tennis players in our country, including the boys of the Winchester High School tennis team. And in 1981, the Winchester boys tennis team became the best boys tennis team in New England. And they were the last high school boys tennis team to achieve such a lofty status by winning the Division I New England High School States Tennis Championship. The talent depth of this team was the real key to their overall team success during their undefeated team season. The lineup included Steve Capel, a speedy, athletic, and powerful shot-making player at first singles, Glenn Ciotti, a tall, athletic, focused shot maker at second singles, Chris Julian, a consistent, athletic, and determined shot maker at third singles. John Fuchs and Colin Green were consistent, athletic, and focused at first doubles, and Dave Palumbo and Marco Constantino were both young, athletic shot makers at second doubles. These tennis players were known as Winchester High School's Magnificent Seven. The results between Lexington and Winchester were dramatic. Both league matches ended 3-2, always coming down to the last match between either first or second doubles, always ending with both teams and fans surrounding the lone court, always being decided on the tie-breaking point, always ending in an incredible environment where players, coaches, and fans will remember for a long time. Winchester ended the regular season undefeated, but this was only the beginning of a historical season for both teams. Both Lexington and Winchester advanced to the Division I tournament and ended up on opposite sides of the tournament draft. Both teams were thankful for their tournament slots, and as the tennis gods demanded, ended up facing each other in the Eastern Mass Finals at Weston. During the regular season, when both teams faced each other, usually the first sets ended mixed between the 5 matches. On this day, Lexington won 4 of the 5 first sets. Only Chris Julian won his third singles first set. The odds of winning the team match are huge after being up 4-1. Winchester, though, won all the second sets. Chris Julian once again won the match in 2 sets. The 4 remaining sets would decide the match. Winchester lost the third set at first and second singles. Lexington was up 2-1 with both doubles teams remaining. Winchester's first doubles team won their third set. The match once again was tied 2-2 as in the regular season, with the second doubles teams deciding the match and the Eastern Mass Championship. Once again, the doubles team match came down to the final tie-breaking point, and once again the result was the same. Winchester won the final point, the match, and the coveted Eastern Mass Championship against their worthy league opponent. On to the last 2 state tournament matches, the state semifinals and the state finals. Winchester beat Long Meadow, the Western Mass champion, 5-0, and Lexington went on and beat the Central Mass Championship by the same score. Winchester and Lexington would face each other again for the 4th time in the same season for the state championship match. Fortunately for Winchester, this match was not as dramatic as the Eastern Mass final, and Glenn Ciotti made the difference by finally beating Lexington's number 2 singles player. The final team match score was 4-1, and Winchester won the state championship. Shortly after that match, I was informed that a New England championship would be held up in Vermont, and both Winchester and Lexington would represent Massachusetts. Our team was very excited to go and of course joked that we would be probably facing Lexington in the finals. The New England Championship Tournament was a 1-day tournament. We drove up to Vermont, played against Vermont and New Hampshire, and got to the finals. Amazingly, Lexington played Rhode Island and Maine and won their right to face Winchester for the 5th time for the New England Championship. Our team was definitely psyched and efficiently beat Lexington again 4-1. We had defeated Lexington 5 times for the Middlesex League Championship, Eastern Mass Championship, Massachusetts State Championship, and finally the New England States Championship. After receiving the New England Championship trophy, the Lexington coach finally admitted that Winchester was the better team. It was truly an historical season for both teams. Winchester had accomplished going undefeated that season and became the best high school tennis team in New England. No high school tennis team will ever achieve that honor again because 1981 was the last year that the tournament ever took place. I think the tennis gods wanted it that way. Thank you.
First 3 up get the seats, fellas.
Congratulations, guys.
He might have went to Tufts, I might have went to UMass, but I'm a lot smarter. That thing ain't working.
Grab the 2 mics.
Good to see you.
Come on up, guys.
There's plenty of seats. Let them stand.
Congratulations.
You don't want the hot seat?
No, no.
Congratulations.
Guys, we got to fill the seats. No?
All right. Way to go.
We need a monkey in the middle. We need a monkey in the middle. Come on, Glenn.
Somebody's got to sit. Come on.
Glenn.
Who's going to sit?
We're gonna have a monkey in the middle.
Oh, we're here?
Yeah.
Oh, I get a seat. Oh. Where's the basketball team? Somebody over here.
Welcome, guys.
Yeah, amazing year you guys had. Winchester tennis, has always been so strong, but this year was unbelievable, and you won that grand slam of championships. What made that team, the 1981 team, what do you think made it so special? And anybody can chime in. So.
And before we start, I have a little better manners than Mark. Why don't we take time and just introduce yourself? Because we've got some very distinguished people up here.
Go ahead. Steve Capel, 1981, graduated.
Captain.
Oh, yeah, captain of the tennis team.
Good.
Mark Herlihy, class of 84.
Dave Palumbo, class of 83.
Marco Cosentino, class of 83.
Colin Green, class of 81.
Anton Cabaz, class of 82.
Steve Brosnan, class of 83.
Brad Houlihan, class of 82.
Glenn Ciotti, class of 82.
So back to my question. What do you think made that team so special? Glenn, you can start.
Sure. We had a lot of bodies, so we weren't sweating the injuries. But I think that was it. Was really depth. We had a lot of players, which was fortunate for us. And I think it was a difference maker against some of the other teams that were some of the other towns that didn't have 7 guys that were or deeper than that even.
Yeah. So I think somebody said that you folks, your second team, your second group, could have played the first group elsewhere.
Our second group probably could have come in third in the Middlesex League that year, which is a fortunate position for us to have been in.
That's awesome. Yeah. That's awesome.
I'd like to know, watching the video, how did you fit into those shots before every match? Was it difficult? Like, did you have to prepare like?
They just remarket tennis shorts now as undergarments, so repurposing of that garment.
It was amazing.
No, it was quite a run. But any championship team I've ever been around, they seem to have a special chemistry on and off either the tennis court or the field of play. Did you guys share that together?
Yeah, I was looking at the video for the basketball team where they had the videos from the bus ride, and that's what I remember the most from this season was the bus ride. I wish I could see a video of our bus rides back from some of the state tournament stuff. Because those are some of my best memories.
And I think, was it you, I think, that said the Eastern Championship, that was you guys were so excited after that?
I think, well, up to that point, I think there were a number of teams that were all having very good years, and that was the difference maker for us. After that, I think we thought we could probably take all the rest of them. But there were maybe 3 or 4 teams that were right there with us the whole way before that.
In football in Winchester, we have Woburn as the arch rival. It seems like from reading through the articles and stuff, at least during that era, it was Lexington for you guys.
It was Lexington.
Was that the hurdle you had to get over?
Yeah, absolutely right. Over and over, that's right.
I will let Marco speak to that effect.
And over and over and over. We couldn't get away from them.
But you beat them. We did. Good job.
And who did Coach Scanlon, he mentioned, I think it was Glenn, who finally beat. Tell us about that guy.
Yeah, puberty sort of kicked in for me about halfway through that year. So
Houlihan just hit it like 2 weeks ago.
Exactly. Exactly. But no, there was a guy who was much more accomplished than me. But it's. I remember hearing something that Vitas Gerulaitis said about Bjorn Borg, who had beaten him 19 times in a row before Gerulaitis beat him, and he said nobody beats Vitas Gerulaitis 20 times in a row. So it was a situation like that.
Yeah. What about Mr. Capel? I'd like to hear about captainhood and on a team like that. What was it like to be captain? How did you handle it? What did you have to do?
Well, I was put into that place and that position probably way before I was able to and was mature enough to handle it. Thanks, Coach Scanlon. But I didn't have to do too much because these guys were fantastic. There was no real leadership needed. They all wanted to win, just like everyone here. They all wanted to work hard, like everyone here. And the reason why we won and we worked so hard was because of that gentleman right there, Coach Scanlon.
Correct. Which, by the way, Mr. Scanlon, why are you not up here with us?
We're going to get him up. We're going to get him up here soon. But, Coach Scanlon, I saw some of the pictures. I think he was like 15, and he was your coach.
He's 22 now.
Well, when the coach wins, the team runs. That's, that which was the situation for us. It's a definite motivator.
Really?
That was until Marcus joined us, though.
So, again, oh, sorry. Go ahead, Mark.
And being the young guys on the team, I know Dave and I were just scared to lose.
Growing up in Winchester, we saw a lot of folks. I lived right down the street from my longest Winchester friend, Brad Houlihan. You guys were playing tennis all so young, and then you kept pushing and kept playing. I mean, did you see that much of a difference when you played the other towns that didn't have that type of, constant tennis?
Yeah, that's definitely true. I mean, Winchester had, at that time, certainly facilities far superior to the rest of the towns, and so we were fortunate in that respect. Yeah. And there was a gentleman in town who had a couple of kids in the high school before us. Reese and Lloyd Thomas played for the high school, and Lloyd Sr. was sort of the town. He was the town pro for years and years and years, and they set the standard. Those guys were all scholastics and state champions themselves.
Yep.
Hey, fellas, in every season, good or bad, even the successful ones like you guys had, there's always some kind of adversity. Do you remember any point in the season where you said, hey, we got to pull up our little shots and pull together?
You know, those shorts hug on pretty good. So
I'm wearing a pair right now on my pants. They're wicked comfortable. But do you remember any point?
I don't think there was ever any one point, but I think that what was pretty unique about the team was that at one point during the season, there was somebody in the team that pulled us through a close match. That's right. So, in tennis, everybody has their ups and downs, but like I said, it's pretty unique to see that somebody would help the team pull through in the end.
So I think the answer to that is everybody had a down moment, but
always someone that
not always at the same time, yeah.
Fantastic.
So who played tennis beyond high school? Come on.
A few of us.
Tell us a little about tennis at the next level up.
I played tennis at UNH for 4 years, and I think what helped me be a success at the collegiate level kind of goes back to Chris Scanlon. He kind of instills a passion for the sport, and once I graduated from Winchester, just carried that on when I went to UNH.
I played at Flagler College, which is in St. Augustine, and I transferred to University of Tennessee and Martin, and that's where I still live, in Tennessee. And the next level is absolutely that. It's the next level. If anybody here has played NCAA 2, 1, NAIA, whatever, it's the practice time you put in, the commitment you put in, is still related to Coach Scanlon. He put us through stuff that I never thought I could tolerate. And I know everyone here understands what I'm talking about. I thought I was in shape. And he says, okay, we're going for a run. And I couldn't keep up with him. The only guy that could keep up with him is behind me. He ran a 4:09 mile, by the way. This guy right here. Okay? So that next level is tremendously higher than the high school level. And I didn't do as well as I wanted to, but I got to play. I love doing it, and I still play now.
But if you could come back, you guys that played in college, if you could come back, play one more match, would it be with your high school buddies or at the college level?
It would be right here on the clay courts in Winchester, Mass.
Yeah, against Lexington.
Glenn, I think it was you that not long ago you had a unique experience. You were able to come back and coach the team.
Yeah.
How have you seen the game of tennis change since the early '80s to recently, or when you were coaching back? When was your last year coaching? Like, was it 2000?
2000. My captain from 2000 is here, actually.
Who's that?
Derek Pahigianis over there.
There you go. Welcome, Derek.
All right, Derek.
2000, 4-year letterman.
How was he, Derek? Was he any good? Any good as a coach? All right.
I think not as many people are playing. The sport has really declined. There is no John McEnroe to inspire people in whatever way John McEnroe inspired anybody. But he's probably still close to the best player in the U.S. So I think that the lack of that kind of a star coming out of the U.S. probably, it's been a long time since we've had somebody.
Anybody else, any comments about going into the Hall of Fame?
We want to. There's one story we should tell because I think the statute of limitations is run, so we have to tell it.
35 years.
35 years. So everybody's safe, but the criminals are in the room. We, as the coach mentioned in his video, we drove up to Vermont to play that tournament for one day. So we left at 5 in the morning, got up there, played at 8 o'clock, played at noon, played at 4 o'clock, and then we went out to dinner. and some adult beverages were ingested at that time, and it made the ride home. Definitely, I think we should cut it here.
Keep going.
But I remember I had my permit at that time, and so I drove my family's station wagon home. Following
Coach Scanlon's heading for the door.
Coach Scanlon, that's right. I was following Mr. Green, who was at Mr. Power's table back there, and he was taking 91 south at about in the mid 80s. This is about 8, 9 o'clock at night, and I was following him because I didn't know the way home. With everybody in the car asleep, and Mr. Scanlon kind of leaning on my shoulder. Yep, it was that it? That's the story. We all made it home safely. Here we all are. There's a couple guys that didn't make it, but.
Well, congratulations, fellow, and welcome.
Thank you very much. Thank you all very much.
Good job, man.
Good job, guys.
Yeah, squeeze in there. Squeeze in there, guys. Good.
Yeah, we'll go over that way.
Good evening. I'm Tamari, a senior at Winchester High School this year. It is with great pleasure that I introduce my dad, Patrick Murray, for induction into the Winchester Sports Hall of Fame. My dad graduated in 1984 and was an accomplished three-sport student athlete, including football, winter track, and lacrosse. As co-captain of the 1983 football team, Pat played running back and safety under Coach Manny Marshall. The local paper described Pat as Winchester's top offensive weapon with blinding speed. Pat was named a Middlesex League All-Star and was the team's leading rusher, averaging 5.8 yards per carry for a total of 444 rushing yards in 77 attempts his senior year. Pat won the Mr. P Award in memory of Frank Provenzano for unselfish dedication to the team. Pat brought his speed to winter track during his junior year. As a junior and senior, he tied the school record for the 45-yard dash at a time of 5.3 seconds. He finished in second place in the Middlesex League and placed 7th out of 40 sprinters at the Eastern Mass Championship. Pat's neighborhood friend showed him a lacrosse stick in 8th grade and told him he should play. As a tri-captain of the 1984 lacrosse team with Peter Oliver and Eddie Brickley, Pat played midfielder under coach Eugene Booley. The Sachems played in Division I with Concord Carlisle, Billerica, Lincoln Sudbury, and Newton North, described nothing short of a super league. Pat was the leading scorer on the team his senior year, which some teammates might argue was a result of his hesitation to pass the ball. As a junior and a senior, Pat was named a Division I Eastern Mass All-Star and competed as a senior in the All-Star game. Pat continued his athletic and academic career at Worcester Polytech, where he was a 3-year letterman as a tailback and cornerback on the football team and a 4-year varsity midfielder on the lacrosse team. Pat was captain of the 1988 WPI lacrosse team and was a 3-year Pilgrim League All-Star at WPI. As a senior, he was the runner-up for the Pilgrim League Lacrosse Player of the Year. His Sachem pride continued to shine as he moved back to Winchester in 1997 and joined the Winchester Sachems Youth Lacrosse Board. Pat served on the board for the last 17 years, was president for 2, and passionately coached youth lacrosse teams for 10 years with his class of 1984 teammates Jeff Ewing and Peter Oliver. He also co-founded the Winchester Silver Fox 40 and over lacrosse team. As a player on the 40 and over lacrosse team, Pat finally beat Billerica and earned his title of Old New England Lacrosse League champions. Pat has continued to compete in the WHS lacrosse alumni games throughout the years, and it was very exciting for me last year to play alongside my dad in the alumni game, although he complained about my passes being too low. According to Coach Barani, we're the first father and son WHS lacrosse captains, an achievement I am very proud of. While Pat obviously possessed the physical talents and abilities to be a great athlete, his friend and teammate Andy Goodlad would say it was more than Pat's athletic abilities that made him one of the best. Pat inspired his teammates on and off the field. He was a great leader who made everyone around him a better player. When my dad talks about playing high school sports, his greatest stories have to do with not only his countless plays, goals, and wins he experienced, but the lifelong lessons and friends he made during his unforgettable years at Winchester High School. Whether he's playing a sport or volunteering in the community, he does it with a great will to win, a big heart, and an infectious smile.
Yeah, congratulations, Pat.
There you go. Good job. What an awesome job by your son.
Yeah, that was pretty cool that you wrote that for him and you read it just like you did. Nice job, Tim.
It actually was Pat like 30 years ago, just reading what he was going to be. You know, he was just telling his future story.
Yep. So I agree. Great job, Timmy.
Proud of him.
Stand up. Oh, stand up.
So Pat, a great career, captain of several sports, involved with 3 sports and setting records in the ones that you weren't captain in. So tell us what it was like to be in Winchester High and playing the 3 sports and doing well.
So before I jump into that, Mark, right, I just have to share something that just happened a couple minutes ago when Kevin Shattuck, who was my co-captain of 1983, tapped me on the shoulder and said, Pat, you weren't in a war, and you didn't save anyone's life down at, Winter Pond. Why are you going up there? Right?
Good point.
So thank you, Kevin.
That is a good point.
So playing 3 sports was great, right? And I always felt like I know Paul mentioned it earlier that the kids today specialize very quickly at young ages, and I always felt like running track, helped me be a better football player, and playing football helped me to be a better lacrosse player, right? I know, in my own family, I look down and see my brother Tommy, who was inducted earlier, 4 or 5 years ago. Strictly a football player. That's all he ever did. That's all he was ever good at. My brother Michael, who was inducted with the 1986 Super Bowl team, just played football. Well, no, he played football and lacrosse, but 2 sports, right? So playing 3 sports, I thought was very special.
I would go easy on Tommy, though. I know he can beat the crap out of you anytime he wants, so I would go a little easy on him.
He still can't catch me.
And Paul was commenting during the thing. Paul was commenting on the tennis shorts. Your shorts were shorter, the lacrosse shorts, and you had wicked white legs. Your legs were like neon white.
They still. So they still are, right?
Yeah.
I'm not going to show you tonight, maybe.
Pat, getting a little bit into your football senior season, you had great victories over Reading, Lexington, and obviously the big one against Woburn. Yep. What did you take away from your senior season of football, playing for Manny Marshall and those great victories?
So certainly, so 3 great victories. When I think back to them, the things that I remember, Lexington had a lot of kids that actually went on to play Division I football, right? Yeah. So they were one of the league favorites, and the game itself was very, very tough, back and forth the whole time. And we had the ball last, and we scored last to win, right? So it was a great victory, a great team victory. They had a kid that went on to play the next year at UCLA, right? Yep. So they had some great talent, and the team really played strong together, right? Reading, we won 15-14. A great call by Manny in the first half. We actually went for a 2-point conversion in the first half, which gave us the 15-14 lead, right? So there was no scoring in the second half, and it actually held Reading back from going to the Super Bowl, that victory that we had. So another great victory. And then obviously my only regret, in the Woburn game was that we didn't shut them out, right? 35-6 was the score, and and I wanted that shutout so bad. I can remember being in the huddle screaming at people, we're going to shut them out, right?
That's awesome.
Fantastic.
And a similar success you had scoring in lacrosse. So you and I share lacrosse, and I love the stories that you used to tell about some of the games, but you and I always talk about the great teams back then were Concord Carlisle, Lincoln Sudbury. What was it like playing those guys?
So so unlike now, where my son plays and they have the Mill 6 League and the talent levels are very disparate across the different teams. Back, and I'm not even sure my teammates will remember, but in 1984 they formed what they called the Super Conference, And every team that they can in Division I that had a long history and was expected to be good was put into the same conference. So every game was a battle. Every game was difficult. Those losses to Lincoln, Sudbury, and Concord, which we had, and Bill Ricker and St. John's Prep and Newton North, all very powerful teams. They still stuck with me up until 10 years ago. We'll get to that, right?
Yeah. Pat, also, post-Winchester High School, you went up to out west a little bit to WPI and continued your academic career and your football and lacrosse career. And you were captain in lacrosse and had an outstanding football career up there. Again, I asked this question, and I'd like to get the answer from you. I asked it of other inductees. How did Winchester High School prepare you academically and athletically for your college experience?
So interestingly enough, when I got to WPI, it was like an extension of my high school career, right? So there was 6 kids from Winchester on that WPI team, right? So Chuck Kenyon, who I think you guys would remember, right? Yep. My brother-in-law, Chris Cahill, was on the team, right? So when I got out there, I felt fully prepared thanks to the great Manny Marshall and the rest of the coaching staff. I felt like when I stepped onto the field day one, I felt like I was in better condition because of what they had taught us earlier, and I felt like technique-wise, I didn't need to learn anything. I felt like I could go out and play at that level immediately.
I think one of the things too that helped back in the day, encouraging kids to be 3-sport athletes, is the overcross of coaches in the different sports. Like Manny was our head football coach, but he also was an assistant track coach. And another coach is Tom Klein, who's here tonight, be an assistant football coach and the head track coach. So it kind of all just jived together, and as well as being on the school premises teacher. So I think that was very beneficial as you could look up to your mentor and your coach and be involved in 3 seasons.
Yeah, we couldn't get away from them, really, right?
Right, exactly.
Pat, one of the things that we heard when we were looking at the write-ups and looking at some of the nominations was that
things haunted you.
That Pat Murray's incredibly competitive, and that was like a theme that everyone kept saying. So what is that all about?
I don't know where it comes from. I can't imagine, but so I'll tell a quick story about something that just happened a couple months ago that kind of embodies my competitive spirit, right? So I went out to the Super Bowl. And at the Super Bowl, there was different events going on. I was out there with a lot of my teammates from WPI and friends from WPI. And there was one activity that was there for the Super Bowl, and it was virtual reality, right? So if anyone's ever done virtual reality, you put the headset on, and you see everything in a 360 view, and the sound was amazing, right? So the sound of the, in this case, what the virtual reality was you were Peyton Manning, playing in the Super Bowl against the Carolina Panthers, right? And I remember putting it on. I remember getting up to take the snap, and I remember taking a moment to look around, and the crowd was going crazy. And there was a linebacker, much like Mark, I guess, pointing at me, saying he's going to come and get me and kill me, right? And I took the snap, and my first instinct was, I'm scoring a touchdown, right? So in the virtual reality game, instead of being in the game, I just started sprinting. Right? So I ran right into the side of the tent.
Nice.
But I was going to score that. I was going to score that touchdown no matter what. Nothing was going to stop me.
And you still got into WPI. That's amazing. Yeah. Pat, what I like and admire about you too is not only did you play the sports, but like your son Timmy mentioned, for 17 years you were on the board of youth lacrosse, and you're instrumental in building that program with other people like Mark and Pat Gill and a lot of the Ewings, and 2 years as president. How rewarding has that been for you?
So absolutely the most rewarding part of my kind of athletic career, right?
You almost said life in Debbie's hair.
So certainly when I joined the board, Mark was president. I joined the same year as Pat Gill, and then the next year Jeff and Peter joined. And I remember we had 4 teams and 110 kids, and today it's almost 400 kids and closer to about 22 teams, right?
Wow,
so great growth, and it's through a lot of effort from a lot of people like Mark and Jeff and Pat and Peter. And Lord knows we used to talk about it at 3 or 4 in the morning, sometimes at Deb McQuaid's house, talking about how we're going to grow the program and how we wanted to really level the playing field against some of the teams in the superpowers, right? So when we grew up, there was no youth lacrosse in Winchester, but those other towns, Concord, Carlisle, Lincoln, Sudbury, Bill Ricker, those kids have been playing since they were in 1st and 2nd grade. So So I was really on a mission, as Mark and Pat were, to level the playing field, and I think largely we've done that today.
You have done an excellent job.
It's excellent, really good job. One of the cool things that you and I did together was we founded the Winchester Silver Foxes, the over 40 team, when we were 40. So 12 years ago now,
Yep.
I think it's our 12th year this year. And Pat's still on the roster, but he's traveling a lot, so he doesn't play a lot with us, but we still give him a shirt. Tell the audience a little more about that.
So certainly, and Mark knows, Mark and I, when we were 39, we played for Bill Ricker. And it never felt right, going out on the field with a Bill Ricker shirt on, right? And the next year...
We did win the championship.
That's true. Yeah. And it wasn't the same. The next year we formed a team, and the best part of it was, it was largely made up of people that we played with in high school, right? So about half of the roster was for people from Winchester, including Jeff Ewing and Peter Oliver. Jeff Lavey, Tom Perrell, many people. Yep. And it was great to, one, finally get on the field, be competitive, see the same kids that we played against in high school, and to beat them over and over and over as we won the championship in 2006 and 2007, right? Yep. So finally, it took a while, it took 30 years, but we got them back, right? That's what it's all about, right?
It's all about winning.
I just want to, so one of the things we ask people sometimes, what's your greatest sports-related accomplishment? What do you think?
So certainly, I view it as the friends that I've made along the way, right? And when I look out into the crowd and I see the friends who traveled in for this, it just gives me such a great feeling to know I have such lifelong friends with the people I've made. I know I've heard some of the other teams say that as well, right? The one story that kind of crystallizes it for me, kind of the relationships, was I remember we were in a game and we couldn't move the ball at all, and it was very difficult. And then finally, I broke an 80-yard run down the sideline, and and got tackled out of bounds at about the 7-yard line, which is unfortunate. But and within moments of being tackled, Andy Goodlad, was picking me up off the ground, right? And I remember my first thought was, wow, what's Andy doing this far downfield, right? I couldn't believe he was downfield that far blocking. But then he turned to me and said, Pat, I love you, right? And I said, and I was shocked, both because he had blocked for so far and in the comments. So, Andy, I don't think I ever paid you back. I love you too, man. But, it's really, it's... So it's all it's really about the relationship, the friends, and strangely, you come closer together when you lose some of those tough games than when you win, right? So, I appreciate everyone coming out tonight.
Well, Pat, welcome to the 2016.
Huh?
I have to get this back by midnight, but I'll tell you where I rented it.
And before we let you go, too, the rumor that everyone was talking about before you came was that Deb Cahill-Murray is a better athlete than you. Is that true? And they said your kids are better athletes than you, too.
Certainly, my kids are doing great in sports, right? And I think Deb was a part of the state championship soccer team, which still has not been inducted, right? So her time is coming shortly, right? And then, so we'll leave it at that.
All right.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
All right, thanks.
Yeah, buddy. Mark.
I'd like to start my introduction of the 1996 boys basketball team into the Winchester Sports Foundation Hall of Fame by saying congratulations to all the members of the program for that magical season. What made the season magical was more than the games played. The season was magical because of the Winchester community involvement and support of what we were attempting to accomplish. There are so many great memories from the season, it is all but impossible not to overlook something in the short amount of time I have to speak about the team. Players in the 1996 season. We came into the season with a lot of confidence, however, we got off to a terrible start, 2-4. After getting off to a slow start, we did some soul searching, made an adjustment to the starting lineup, the team responded, and I believe ran off 11 wins in a row. When the playoffs rolled around, that is when the magic really began. The team led by seniors Tim Nolan, Andrew Sullivan, Alex Rachapi, Andrew Murphy, Pat Kayulu, Patrick Fitzgerald, Heike Duzian, and Matt Baldwin had defined their roles as leaders and were supported by Matt Gallery, Mark Sullivan, Justin Sarpone, Mike Dodge, David McGeehan, and John Ozissi. They knew what it would take to be successful, and they committed themselves to playing as a team where no individual success was greater than team success. Our first tournament game was against Northeast Regional Tech. The stands that night were full of rowdy students who were fully behind their team. We won that game going away. Next up was a tightly fought contest at Wakefield High School against Middlesex League foe Stoneham High School. The game was back and forth, and when the final horn sounded, we got the win. Our next game was against Wayland High School. 3 things stand out from that game. We wanted it more than they did. Andy Sullivan bounced the ball off an opposing player's head for a reason that's still unknown by me to this day, and that rallied our team. We played for at least 4 seconds after the final buzzer had sounded because we wanted it more than they did. Our next game was the North Finals at UMass Boston against North Cambridge Catholic. That game was a joy to coach. We were heavy underdogs, however, we stuck with what had gotten us there with a few defensive modifications, and it worked like a charm. By now, it felt like the entire Winchester community was behind us. By the time we arrived at the Fleet Center, destiny was on our side. Our boys were living a dream that they didn't want to end on the parquet floor with a loss. Everything we had been working on during the past 2 seasons came together. Our boys were not intimidated by the moment at all. They played like they belonged and put on a basketball exhibition that will be talked about for many years to come. I could single out a lot of plays from the game, but the one that brought the biggest smile to my face was when Haik Gadushian hit the 3-pointer at the buzzer, and the entire team rushed the court and mugged him like he just made the winning shot at the buzzer. It was all about team, and it really showed right then and there. We ran up against a very good Pioneer Valley Regional School in the state finals. We didn't win that game, but we represented Winchester and Eastern Massachusetts with true grit and pride. When we got back to Winchester High School and the parking lot was full of supporters there to welcome us home in defeat. In addition to the players making the season magical, there were lots of others who contributed to the magic. I'll start with the coaching staff, Ted Lyon, Bill Chase, and Arthur Howe. We couldn't have done it without you fellas. Team manager Joe Biano and bookkeeper Kyle Ambrose, you contributed too. Donna Gildersleeve, I know I pushed the boys to the limits at times, but you always got them back out on the court. AD Dave Berman, you gave me a chance to coach at Winchester and gave me what I needed to build a program and produce the magic. Facilities manager Jack Swellier, you were always there supporting, keeping me and the kids in order along the way. In closing, everything about the 1996 was special. The relationships and the bonds that were made remain strong to this day. I am very proud of that team, and I'm glad they're being recognized as a team here today. One final comment. It's a little known fact that the first championship ever won at the Fleet Center was won by the 1996 Winchester boys basketball team, by you.
Come on up, fellas.
Congratulations, guys.
Thanks. Thank you.
Way to go, guys. Way to go.
Oh, thank you.
Good job, guys.
Yeah, watch that. Coach, why'd you sit down in the middle?
Good job, guys.
No?
We're going to squeeze you guys in.
Murph, come on, Murph.
Squeeze you in. Good job, guys.
All right. Hey, be careful there. You guys fall. Be careful.
All right.
Yeah, be careful of the back ledge there.
Yeah, be careful. Don't go down.
We've never lost anybody.
Yeah, don't step back. Yeah, we got good. We got the flag. Yeah. Guys, Coach talked about one of the things we all noticed when we first started was Coach talked about that amazing start you had to your season. We were all like, God, they must have been panicking. They must have panicked somewhere. You know what? Tell us something what that was like, because you guys were the team to watch, right, coming into that season.
Yeah, I'd say we were more sort of disappointed than we were panicked in the beginning, because we did have high expectations for that season. You know, we had all played together in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade basketball, coached by Bob Morrison, and he really built a foundation of success for us back then. And when we got to senior year, we expected that we would just sort of pick up where we left off in those years, and it didn't happen. And I think what really happened in the beginning is that we were basically functioning as a group of individuals, and we made a transition to working together as a cohesive unit. And I think what really made the difference there was Coach Dale. I mean, we needed a voice of reason to tell us, to show us that if we all played our roles and embraced our roles as a team, that we'd be ultimately more successful. And sometimes those roles weren't glamorous. I mean, sometimes those roles were just, preventing the other team from getting a rebound so that, we could get the ball back and do something offensively. And Coach had this famous box-out drill that I think anybody who's ever played for Coach Dale would remember fondly. And I think it was through him sort of redirecting our energies that really made the difference. And then once we started to pick up steam, it just sort of took off from there.
So he didn't panic during that time?
No. He knew. I mean, like he said, you heard him say, act like you belong. I mean, he knew that we belonged, and we just really needed him to push us in the right direction for that.
And fellas, Coach mentioned the word magic in his video. He said he was allowed by Dave Berman, the former AD, to produce the magic. In your opinion, what was some of the magic that was produced, and how was it produced? Was it on the court, off the court, between relationships? What made the team special?
I think it was really a combination of both. I mean, I think the magic really started in junior high, where we would have backyard basketball battles at my house. It would be ferociously competitive games. I was just talking with Tim Nolan about this, and he referred to my house as basically our training facility. And so I'd like to thank my mom, Rebecca Murphy, who's here for creating that really special place for us. And I think it was really sort of the bonds that we developed through that, through playing in summer leagues together, through summer tournaments that we went to together, that really kind of built the foundation for that magic.
And we talked about that too. We wondered, did you guys play at different houses? We talked about that a lot as a committee. They must have done that somewhere. So your house was the main house.
Yeah, my house was the main house. But then, the summer before our senior year, we played in a tournament in Falmouth, and the Nolans were kind enough to put us up at their house. I'm not even sure if they're aware of that, but so.
But thanks anyway.
It's things like that where, you travel to a place, you spend time with guys. I don't even remember the tournament that weekend, but I remember going there and spending the time with the guys on our team. So a lot of the parents chipped in for that.
And someone other than Murph now, because I know, I've coached for a long time too. There's always a good story about a coach during a moment of maybe his frustration or aggravation that he's done something funny or awkward.
So line up and start telling stories.
You guys would laugh about that either on the way home at night. Any Coach Dale story that he did something? Come on, Tim.
Tim's got one.
Tim's got one.
I'll tell the story, but I'm not part of the story. But when Coach came in our freshman year, he took over our freshman year, took over the program. He wanted to know every player that was in the program from senior year to freshman year. So he walked around and asked everybody their name, wanted to understand who they are, shake their hand. So one of our friends from our age that worked their way up with us, playing in Murph's backyard and everything, he walked up to this gentleman and said, "And what's your name, son?" And he said, "My name is Hi Gadzuzian." And Coach Dale said, "Hi, good to see you too." "What's your name, son?" And Haig said, "Hi, Gadzuzian." And Coach Dale said, "Hi, good to see you too, but I'm not going to ask you again, son. What is your name?" I interjected, "Coach, his name is Haig Gadzuzian." So, and he said, whatever you guys are doing here, it's fine. So, Haig was the one that hit the 3 at the end of the Fleet Center tournament in the video. So, Coach Dale was never good at semantics, but he was always good at motivation.
Yeah. Yes.
Anybody else?
Speaking about that experience, fellas, it looked like a hell of a bus ride on the way in and on the way back. What fond memories do you have of being the first championship team ever play at the Fleet Center?
Yeah, I mean, that was really an amazing day. And
Did you think you could win?
yeah, I think at that point we thought we could win. We had the momentum at our side, and that day was just a really special day. I remember they ran a train, a dedicated train from Winchester to the Fleet Center just to support the fans who were coming to the game. We had a police escort on the bus ride, which was completely unnecessary but very cool. And Coach Dale was able to convince the administration to let us out of school really early that day. And so what happened was, when we got to the Fleet Center, the lights were still off. And instead of going to the locker room, we went straight out into the court, and we took our shoes off and we started walking around in our socks. And slowly the lights came on, and we got to see this sort of magical arena appear around us. And then after we went to the locker room and got dressed, we got to come out on the court and experience what it's like to shoot in an arena. And Coach knew that was going to be important for us because he knew that we had been playing in cramped high school gyms where you'd have the hoop right up against the wall. And when you're shooting in an arena, it's a totally different experience. And he knew that from his own experience. And so it was a really critical thing that he did for us that day.
I like the Holland Goldtrotters dunking drill, too. Two guys would lift up the other guy in the dunk.
Who was laying in the middle of the floor? Was that you in the middle of the floor?
Murph was laying on it.
Yeah, that was you lying on the floor.
Soaking it in. Yeah.
Hey, one of the things that I saw that I thought was amazing was you talked a little about it. I think the school got out a little early as well to catch that train. But we heard that the fans really were into it, and the whole school was behind you, and then the whole town ended up being behind you guys. Can you talk a little about what that felt like?
Well, the guys were pumped up to play that game, and I had a good feeling about the team, as Murphy just described. We got there very early, had the gym to ourselves. We got all of the distractions out of our system. We were in the mix of a hard-fought game, playing our hearts out, and that train arrived, and a sea of red and black came into the Fleet Center, filled up the entire lower level, and just gave us all their support. And the other team had no chance from there. We specialized in a 2-2-1 press, and I swear the other team couldn't get the ball across half court. Really? It was just that much fun, and it was supported by the town. We just caught fire. We caught magic in a bottle, and we ran with it.
And that's a point I'd like to elaborate on. I mean, nothing against private school, just because when I was going to the 9th grade, I applied to 9 of them and got into none of them. But what Coach just described there, you young boys and girls that maybe be thinking about going to private school, you can't duplicate that anywhere, all right? And it's not just Winchester, but any public school. When you grow up with the kids that you play with in high school, there's no separation there. There's nothing like that. And when the whole town gets behind you, whether it's a tennis championship, a basketball championship, you can't duplicate that anywhere else. So I don't want that to go by without saying that. All right?
Public schools. What are you guys seeing? I can't believe, you guys probably can't believe it's been 20 years, right? 20 years since that, that great season that you have. Is anybody around basketball now? Do you see younger kids playing? And what can you tell some of those younger kids? I stumped them.
Next question.
Well,
Thank God for Murphy. This would go over like a fart in church up here without Murphy.
Look, there's one.
Sir Pone just won a national championship throughout the first pitch at Fenway.
No way. Makes sense.
On basketball.
In what? In soccer?
He will, yeah.
So it is amazing. It's 20 years, and it's amazing to see all these guys. And I think one of the things, I've been around sports for my life in the 20 years since 1996, and everything that I love about sports was started with this group of people. And I think, 20 years later, we have perspective. We've learned a lot of things in our lives, and everyone's done such terrific things. But at 17 years old, it's about you're learning as you go, and it's about wins and losses, and it's about the day-to-day. What changed the 96 team for me, and I think for a lot of us, was it was about the journey. And this coaching staff, Coach Dale, Coach Howell, Coach Lyon, made it about the journey. And I remember specifically after we lost in the state final, I remember being in the locker room and everybody was down. And Coach Lyon came in the locker room and was crying. and said, I remember specifically what you said, which was, I'm not crying because we lost, I'm crying because it's over. And I think that, for me, is something that I keep going back to, because who cares about a ball and a hoop and a bunch of rules of basketball? What it's about is the people that you're surrounded by. And as a young person, I can't say enough about what we were given as underclassmen for this senior group, who was so terrific, and this coaching staff. I've been around a lot of coaches in my life, and there's never been a coaching staff or a bunch of people that have cared this much. And I think, you know, I am around kids all the time, and I can't tell you how many times I've come back to 1996 Winchester High School boys basketball, and it's been a yardstick in my life, and I know all of us up here. I think that I'm speaking for this group, that it was a special, special time, and so grateful, and we're all so grateful for the chance. We just try to pass it on, whether we're around sports or not.
Well said.
I'd just like to add that 20 years ago, when we took our championship picture on the Fleet Center floor, my son was 1 year old. He was in my arms.
Wow.
And that picture has hung over, it hung over my fireplace for 20 years, 24 years. My son said to me that you're going to have to move that picture when I win a state championship on the Fleet floor. And truth be told, they won it 4 years ago. We are now off to the side. We're still reflecting, but he hangs in the center spot. And going to the Fleet Center and watching him play brought back all the memories of watching and coaching these guys. I hadn't been on the sideline to watch somebody accomplish what we did as a coaching staff and players. But when my son did it, I was like, wow, this is really special. Brought it all together. I quit coaching at Winchester only to go watch my son play on the next level at college. He's at Wheaton College. He'll be a senior this year, and I really enjoy it. I stay with the game. But I tell you, I miss Winchester every winter. I should be driving down South Water Road.
Coach, while you have the microphone, if you don't mind, either you do it or pass the microphone along, but why don't we introduce the players and your staff here?
We'll let them introduce themselves.
All right,
Everybody needs to
fantastic.
speak up.
I'm Tim Nolan. I was the point guard.
Brian Fitzgerald, class of 96.
Andy Sullivan, class of 96.
He's the kid that bounced the ball off the other players.
And yes, I threw the ball at someone's head.
No, you didn't throw it.
Regrettably, with 2 minutes left in what level were we at in the playoffs? That was like our
semifinals.
State semis, and Coach will never let me forget it.
It motivated us. So.
Yeah.
Coach, my name is Haig Gazuzian.
Hey!
Maybe he'll nail it this time, almost.
Dave McGeehan, class of 97.
Okay, about Hyde. He was convinced that he could dunk the ball. All season long, he tried. Then the rules changed, and the girls started playing with a smaller ball. He dunked it.
My rules. Matt Baldwin, class of 96.
Alex Rachapi, class of 96.
Justin Serpone, class of 97.
Coach Ho. Mark Sullivan, class of 98.
Ted Lyon, assistant coach. My 4-year coaching career spanned the 4 years that these seniors played, so it was very special for me.
That's great.
I want to introduce one guy who's not here, and we're disappointed that he couldn't join us tonight because he was a critical part of our team, Patrick Keulu, and I think one of the amazing things about Pat is that he was actually cut from our 8th grade basketball team, and rather than abandoning the sport, he just completely threw himself into it. He would just do drills for hours and hours. He read books on how to get better at basketball. He found people who were better than him to practice with and help him improve. And arguably, he went on to become the most talented player on our team in the 95-96 season, and he just did it through sheer will. And that's really been a lesson for me, just looking at what Pat did in such a short period of time. It's just a lesson to me about hard work and success.
Excellent job, guys.
So one of the things we were wondering, Paul and I were talking, and we were thinking, okay, you're all on the court, game's on the line, who takes the final shot?
And he did. I mean, we had occasions where he did.
The ball in his hand. He could get by anybody.
He's not here.
I don't think that answer is unanimous, though. Pat was a great guy to have like that, but that was sort of the beauty of our team, was that there wasn't that one guy that, okay, we're in an important situation, get him the ball, and he's going to just do his thing. It was, okay, how has the game been going? Who had the hot hand? And how can we get in the flow to get the right shot? And there were so many guys on our team that I feel like we were comfortable putting in that situation. And I think ultimately that was really the beauty of this team, is that we didn't have that one guy, it was a team.
We needed a 3, that guy right there, though. That guy right there was
Well, that was a special time, fellas, in Sachem basketball history, and we appreciate y'all coming out tonight and sharing your memories with us, and congratulations on your induction.
Thank you.
We'll give this to you and Coach.
Hey, there's one more member of our coaching staff that we want to send some love to and a shout out to, Coach Chase over there.
Chase.
So, hey, folks, we wanted to share with you, it's a night of athletic success. Quickly tell us what happened with you. Come on, give the story.
Way to put you on the spot.
Yeah.
What did you win?
No, I'm the men's soccer coach at Amherst College, and we won the Division III national championship.
National championship.
I will say one thing that there's a post-game press conference for the 24 people that watch Division III post-game press conferences, but I made a point in the beginning of the press conference to talk about Winchester and how much the town and the Winchester sports experience gave to me personally. And really, I was a really small part of this team. I've gained so much in my life from Winchester and all the people here that have given so much to the young people of the town. And I'm very, very thankful, and certainly wouldn't be doing what I'm doing if it wasn't for my time at Winchester. And it really special place.
Awesome. Thank you, Coach.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Thank you, Coach. Good job.
I'm happy to be able to introduce Mark Sullivan as an inductee to the Winchester High School Hall of Fame. I was lucky enough to play alongside him as his teammate and to grow up with him as his brother. This induction is something Mark has earned through years of hard work on the football field, basketball court, and baseball diamond. And I am very proud that he is being recognized as one of Winchester's great all-time student athletes. In high school, Mark and I played all 3 sports together and continued on to play baseball together at Boston College. So I have firsthand experience of Mark as an athlete and a teammate. As celebrated and recognized as Mark was during his time as a Sachem, he was even better than advertised. Mark was as talented, tough, competitive, and reliable as anyone I have ever played any sport with. He worked hard to get better, and you never had to question his motives. He was always looking out for the good of the team. Additionally, his talent made him the guy you wanted with the ball when it mattered. As a sophomore at Winchester, Mark was a varsity contributor in all 3 sports he played. On the football field, he found playing time on defense as a hard-hitting free safety. On the basketball court, Mark played a large role in the 1996 team that went on to the state finals and is also being inducted here tonight. On the baseball diamond, he was a starting pitcher and outfielder. Sophomores who made 3 varsity teams and sat on the bench were hard to come by. Mark made all 3 teams, not only played, but played well. As a junior, Mark was a defensive star on the football field as one of the team's leading tacklers from his free safety position. He was an elite scorer on the basketball team as he was named the team's Offensive Player of the Year in 1997. On the baseball field, he was a starting pitcher and outfielder and was named the Middlesex League All-Star. Finally, as a senior, Mark was the quarterback and team leader of the Sachem football team. Through their first 4 games of the season, Mark led the team to a 3-1 record, undefeated in the Middlesex League,
by operating the league's most explosive offense. He led the league in passing yards and touchdowns before breaking his collarbone against Wakefield. Mark's injury carried over into his senior basketball season, where he proved his toughness and commitment to his team by playing through pain as the team's captain. As a senior baseball captain, Mark was the ace of the pitching staff and top offensive weapon, again earning Middlesex League All-Star status. From Winchester, Mark continued his baseball career at Boston College, where he broke significant pitching records. As a senior at BC, Mark set a school record for wins in a season. He also led the entire Big East Conference in innings pitched and was second in the league in strikeouts. He finished his career at BC with a 19-7 record, including 7 saves. Post-college, Mark was signed to play professional baseball in the Texas Rangers minor league system. Only a handful of athletes have come out of Winchester and worked their way up to the professional ranks. This alone makes Mark one of the elite athletes in Winchester's storied history, and his induction tonight into the WHS Hall of Fame is well deserved. Congratulations, Mark, and to the rest of tonight's inductees.
He was just here a couple minutes ago.
Yeah, that's right. Welcome, Mark.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Welcome, Mark. Thank you for having me. Yep. Nice blazer. Thank you. This blazer and the vision of you wearing short tennis shorts is, I'm not going to sleep till June.
Does this
nightmare fuel.
This blazer make me look fat, or is it my face?
No, you look great. You look great.
Good. Listen, Mark, you and your brothers who were in attendance tonight, Andy and David, were involved in Winchester sports ever since you could probably walk. Go back and maybe tell us some of your memories from the early days playing sports in Winchester at the youth level.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm the middle of 3 boys. My older brother Andrew is a member of this Hall of Fame, and then our younger brother Dave was a terrific athlete as well. So, we grew up on Euclid Ave. Our front yard was a baseball field that extended across the street. Mrs. Dewhurst's hedges was our home run fence. That worked until Andy started peppering the houses with balls, and we had to stop playing baseball. Our football field was our front yard and the Montgomery's front yard, and we had a basketball hoop on the garage. So day one, as far back as I can remember, we were doing something athletic. And then the first coach I had in organized sports in Winchester was my father. He coached all of us for 2 years in baseball. So the memories I have growing up were all related to athletics, and really feel fortunate to have grown up in a town as Winchester with the folks that are as committed to helping young children stay active and grow as people. So a wonderful experience.
Yeah, with the brothers, that's an awesome way to grow up.
It was a special thing to be able to participate with them in those.
Yeah. So you excelled, and you really did excel at football, basketball, and baseball at the high school, and everyone's proud of that. Tell us a little about the different demands that you had in those different sports and how you approached each one of those sports.
Yeah, I think obviously each sport is different, right? I think if you think about football, it's the most physical game I played. As a quarterback, I think I had to be a little bit more in command of things and kind of know our whole offense and what people were doing at all times. So, that was one thing. I think when it got to basketball, I felt like I could be a little bit more creative and kind of freelance a bit, but it required a lot of awareness and anticipation. And then baseball was really all about one-on-one matchups, right? Are you a better hitter than the pitcher, or are you a better pitcher than the hitter you're facing? So all those things, it's kind of the reason I stayed playing 3 sports as long as I could, was I enjoyed the different aspects of all those sports.
What about the camaraderie? Were they much different, or did you like basketball and football very similar?
No, I thought, all were great, and it's playing 3 sports. We talked about this a little bit prior. It's kind of going away. There's a lot of specialization these days, and it happens early. And I think that's a shame, because my memories are not of wins and losses or singular accomplishments on fields or courts. it's, you know, that handsome table over there, and these two handsome tables are friends I have for life. And that's what youth sports, in my opinion, is really all about. It's the bonds you form, it's the friendships you create, and those are my lasting memories that I think about fondly to this day, are the people I got to share those experiences with.
Mike, I had the privilege of coaching you while at Winchester High School in football, and I remember you were strapping like 6'1", probably 106 pounds. And for the life of me, I don't know why we put you in as the triple option quarterback, but I guess it's...
You were the coach.
I guess I was the line coach, though. But I figured Coach Donahue's theory was maybe he could slip through the little cracks. Yeah. Right? But you were definitely a hard-hitting defensive back, and obviously being a quarterback in that style offense is very physically demanding. What side of the ball did you enjoy most?
Well, you know, it's a good point. I think my answer would have been hands down quarterback had we thrown a little bit more.
Wasn't in the game plan.
You know, 106 might have been generous.
That was with the pads.
Yeah, the widest parts of my arms and legs were my knees and elbows when I was in high school. It was sad and it was scary. So I wasn't your prototypical running quarterback, but I loved it. I think my demeanor and my mindset was better suited for being a quarterback. And kind of being in control and in command of the offense. But I think if I had to choose one I liked better, I liked playing defense more. I enjoyed kind of the physical nature of the game, given my constraints of the scrawniness.
Paul got to coach you, but he showed me a picture a couple weeks ago. What hit was that? Was that in Woburn?
The Woburn.
The still, and it was a still, and the guy from Woburn was just getting leveled. And Paul said, "Look at this hit! Look at this hit!"
I remember that one.
It was amazing. So it's fun. It's a great defensive game. So you carried on. You went to BC, great school, and obviously a big baseball school.
Mm-hmm.
So tell us about that. You've heard us ask other people about what level. What was it like going from the level you were at to that level? What was that like?
You know, it was great. Obviously, you know, the competition is ratcheted up a notch or two. But, you know, I certainly feel like I played some pretty tough teams in high school. You know, but I will say kind of, you know, in thinking about what prepared me for whatever next level of competition I played at was, you know, I was so fortunate to have the teammates I had, the teachers, the coaches throughout my time in Winchester. I think they all kind of, an overarching theme for me was they just really instilled a work ethic, right? So I don't think I was necessarily the most talented person the next level I went to, but I always just felt I had an edge that I could outwork people. And that's what I rode throughout my entire athletic career. And that foundation kind of started with Winchester. You know, guys like Coach Manganero, Coach Dale, Coach Lyon. You know, I remember Dan McGrath was a great athlete at Winchester that worked us out over the summer. And so just the ability to outwork people was something that I learned as a young person in Winchester.
I want you to be honest with this next question. Regardless of the event or the sport, if it came down to one game or one opportunity, winner take all, and you had to pick one teammate, is it Andy, David, or your mother Linda?
Linda, hands down.
No question.
Paul, you were right. You were right.
No question.
No, but if I could take a moment seriously to thank them, you know, I really was so blessed to grow up in a house with such loving parents that, you know, my father, he never really pushed us to go a certain way. He started the lacrosse program at Boston College, and he had 3 kids that ended up playing baseball in college, right? So he was never pushing an agenda on us, but all he wanted us to do was, if we started something, finish it and do it to the best of your abilities. So I really was super fortunate for the upbringing I had. So thank you, Mother and Father. Much appreciated.
What is sports in your life today? What's happening?
Well,
looks like you're still weightlifting.
Yeah, I weightlift. I eat competitively.
You do a good job.
Yeah, thank you. Golf is really kind of the one thing I stick to. It's the only way I can kind of remain competitive and not get angry with myself for not being able to do the things I used to do. So, but you know, the lessons I think I learned, and all the inductees here learned, you know, in their high school days or in their adolescence in Winchester, that stuff has worked for us in athletics, but certainly well outside the athletic arena. You know, I know a lot of these guys here are very successful today in whatever they choose to do, and it's really based on and rooted in the foundation of the stuff that we learned as student athletes growing up in Winchester.
That's awesome. Well, the Sullivan family, you know, made great contributions. Your brothers, your parents, to the athletics in Winchester. They're, in my opinion, right up there with the Bolinos, the Vozellas, the Ricos. So let's start having some babies and getting you guys back into Winchester. Sound fair enough?
Yeah, I'll work on it.
All right. Thank you, Mark. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Everybody, we want to thank you all. Awesome athletes. It was very impressive to hear the stories, what they did, what they accomplished, you know, what it means to them. It's always great to see people coming back. Pat Murray, it's awesome to have him join the Hall of Fame because I've been so close with Pat over the years. Everyone else is good too. So
No, we appreciate your support of the program because without the past, we don't have a present or future. And we hope you would support the program as well as the foundation that's given so much, the Sports Foundation has given so much. And we'll be taking nominations starting September 1st to December 1st next year. So if you got anybody in mind right now, let's work on that. Have a safe night and thank you.
Thanks, everybody.